welcome to this October 6th edition of the SVG-TV News. I am Khalil Cato with the details. Opposition Member of Parliament for the Southern Grenadines, Terence Oliver, is questioning whether the government is behind the plan to remove a sewage treatment plant on Canawan from a private developer onto the section of the Canawan Government School, which houses both the secondary and primary school students. Oliver, who was speaking on the issue on Nice Radio today, said that he was not aware of this move until it was raised as part of a discussion on radio and carried out investigations. The representative for the Southern Grenadines said that he, and by extension the New Democratic Party, are totally opposed to such a move.
Now, I don't know who came up with such a grand idea, but something have to be wrong. Whoever thought about that move, and that will be the best thing. Something, these people have to be crazy and not from this world or from this planet. Because how could you do something like that? You want to move a sewage system which belongs to a hotel development and take it to the park of a school. And clearly, we cannot allow that to happen. It cannot happen. Why would you want to do such a thing? What is the reason you want to remove it from that place, and why do you want to carry it there? And is that the only place you can use to carry it?
The opposition MP said there are many unanswered questions about the sewer plant, and he is seeking answers from the government. Oliver added that the acquisition of a private property close to the school to facilitate the transfer of the sewer plant was done, even though the property owner did not agree to it.
That I've also heard that a neighboring piece of property, private property, between that development and the school, that efforts were made to buy a piece of the person's property, which they refused to sell. And after that, because they refused to sell the piece of the property, that acquisition of the land was done in order to make a road and run some of these pipes from that development to carry to the school. Now, how is that possible? Who acquired the land? Who can just acquire people land and put the money wherever they want to put it?
The land acquisition notification has had its second publication in the Government Gazette. A president of the SVG Teachers Union, Oswald Robinson, is calling on the government to reconsider its plan to build the treatment plant on the school premises. He said based on his information, the government is already in the advanced stages of preparation for the project, which will be worrisome.
So based on that, it means that the cabinet of this country would have already approved that, because it has already entered into the Government Gazette. And what I'm seeing here, based on my research, it was dated the 13th day of July 2020. And it was signed by the Cabinet Sec on the 14th of July 2020. So it is clear that the government has acquired this portion of land to connect pipes, to make roads, to connect the other roads. But what is important here of interest is that it appears as though it is going to be a treatment plant that would be placed in the yard of the primary and the secondary school in Canawan, where they're going to treat the sewage.
Robinson said he disagrees with the government's move, as it would not be safe for the teachers and students. He said that the government should find another location for the well-being of the teachers and students.
Okay, and it means that all these water would be treated, and it is going to end up into the yard of the primary and the secondary school. So the teachers union is concerned about this, and we are making a profound statement that this is something that is totally unacceptable. You see, and when we make these kind of statements, we don't want people to feel this is a political issue because we are in the height of the election season, and every time somebody says something, somebody puts it as a partisan political twist. So we want to make that abundantly clear. This is about the safety of the school population there and the residents in that area. And so the authorities need to do the honorable thing to rethink that area, go back to the drawing board and choose a different location, not the yard of the school for treating sewage waste.
The last of 3 stalls located on the compound of the Kingstown Government School was demolished by Bragza today. However, the owner of the stall, Geoffrey Christopher, who said that he has been operating there for more than 45 years, added that he was never notified of the intended demolition.
I didn't get any official notice, no written notice, and they are saying that they give me, and up to now, even today, they haven't produced any. I didn't see any notice, and they come to the demolition shop. And after we were given permission to build our shops there. Mostly that shop used to be like a shop to sell like food and all kind of things. The last business we did there, the lady used to fry like chicken, chips, fish, and like sell juice and other beverages. It was a thought because people always tell themselves that we shouldn't be there because this was the parking lot of the school. And after the shops were built there, they built that wall. I guess I don't know what it is, what it was, but the wall, where the wall is, cars used to park there.
Christopher was seen removing some of the items from the shop and noted that he has taken a huge loss as he has spent in excess of $10,000 on materials for the shop.
It cost me over $10,000. It was wood and I put on a wall structure, and it cost me and then the other things I had to do run me up to 15 because that door and other things I had to do to ensure that thieves don't go in. Because all I was doing is to ensure that it was a secure place to do business.
Christopher said he is not sure where he will go or what to do, but would like to meet with the Prime Minister.
I don't know what address I have, but I have to check out the possibilities, you know. I don't know, I'll go and talk to the Prime Minister, of course, hear what he has to say. And then, well, it's actually a family thing, it's not just me. My mother and my sister are very concerned, they are in New York. My sister is very emotional about it. And these are the 2 shops too. We are concerned because we don't see it as an individual thing, we see it as it could be a narrative against the small shop vendor because this shop sent me to school and my sisters and my children, you know. And even Kiko was doing a candy shop there one time. It was an area of production and economic activity.
The Kingstown Government School has been under renovations for some time and is close to completion. An officer from Bragza who was on site today said that they were informed that the owner of the shop was notified of the demolition and that the workmen are only carrying out the instructions from the authorities at the Ministry of Education. Meanwhile, Opposition Member of Parliament for the West Kingstown constituency, Daniel Cummings, said even though it is a bit late, he is happy that the authorities have heeded the call for the structure to be demolished, noting that it has been a nuisance to parents, teachers, and students of the school.
Prevents children from having a proper playground, that prevents the Parent-Teachers Association from dealing with the issue of security at the school. I thank God that common sense has prevailed. This has taken this government a very long time. From the time I became a senator in the government, in the Parliament of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I have been appealing to this government. It was in the days of Girl in McGill, I urged for the sake of the children and the teachers that those shops be demolished. And it has taken, I mean, you know, it is funny. At one of our virtual meetings, Colin, I threatened when we get in government that if it becomes necessary, I will personally do it. And I didn't make that statement lightly. I am so annoyed with the bureaucracy and the party politics that has been allowing this kind of nonsense to go on for so long. A country cannot progress when party politics takes precedence over the very well-being of the children of this country.
Opposition Member of Parliament for North Leeward, Roland Matthews, said what the government is doing now to get the dengue fever outbreak under control should have been done a long time ago. Speaking on the NDP's Monday night live Facebook program, Matthews said the reactive approach shows that the government is out of touch with the reality of what Vincentians are facing and their needs.
Put the measures in place, buy what they have to buy, whether fogging machine, whether whatever chemical they want to use, but they should have been ahead of the game. But what we are saying now, it is a government that is reacting to the problem of dengue that we have now, and this should have never happened. While dengue is dangerous, as we have seen now, it is preventable by making sure you do what you must to prevent the breeding of the mosquito that cause dengue fever. None of that was done. This is the rainy season where you have a lot of water settling here and everywhere, where high bushes are, so on. So there are things that we could have done to prevent what is happening now. Stuff was not done, and as a result, we are suffering the consequence.
On the proposed plan by the NDP to have the Fisheries Department as a separate entity detached from the Ministry of Agriculture, Matthews said they will be taking a modernized approach to help transform SVG. He added that fisherfolk across the nation should be able to make a good living plying their trade and have large-scale markets readily available for their catch.
It doesn't make sense that you invest or you ask a fishing company or a fish company to set up business in St. Vincent. And you are saying to the fisher folks, you're going out this morning, and come back this afternoon. While they might catch, yes, but we're talking about volumes. And where there is volumes, there is money. Right. And the emphasis should be on our fisher folks capitalizing on every opportunity so that they can make money. And that is the direction, Colin, that the New Democratic Party is heading. We want our fisher folks to be so equipped that when they leave the shores and they go out, spend 4-5 days on a fishing ground, and they return, they should do so with money, with a fish that value thousands of dollars. That's the approach that right next to it they're taking, and I don't see any reason why our fisher folk should not be getting that kind of opportunities.
Voice Your Choice, a campaign which seeks to educate and encourage young people in the country to get involved in the electoral process, was launched here today. The people behind Voice Your Choice have said this is a non-partisan campaign which also seeks to encourage participation in the overall development of the country post-elections.
This campaign was created by youth for youth. The message to the attention young people is simple. We want you to own your vote because it's yours. So be sure to use it at the next general election and voice your choice.
When we say turn up the volume, it is in the context of the campaign. We want youth voices to be heard. If we consider votes to be your voice, then we're simply saying that we want you to vote, we want to increase youth voter participation. So if a voice is your vote, the more voices, the more votes, right?
There's a saying, empty barrels make the most noise. But we are hoping that in this case, this will not apply. Instead, we hope that youth will engage in the political and electoral process more, to be more informed, to think more, and to vote accordingly.
The Voice Your Choice campaign is organized by the Commonwealth Youth Council, Spark SVG, and One News SVG. Forestry officials say they are pleased with the interest by some hunters in ensuring the sustainability of protected species of mammals and birds in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Speaking on NBC Radio's Views on Issues discussion program last Sunday on wildlife management, Director of Forestry Fitzgerald Providence said hunters have been making specific recommendations to the department, such as setting quotas, as some animals are sometimes with young when caught during the open season.
We have observed in recent time that these hunters have come to us and volunteered the information that they're finding animals that are pregnant or in young, which they don't like because they know catching these species, you're actually killing a few of the young when you capture animals that have young in them. And this is something that we have to look at and with information, because the season could be a result of the change in our local climate pattern, which sometimes is influenced by climate change, in that the animals would tend to want to breed during the drier season of the. That's why the close season starts at February, March, because that's when we're coming into the drier period of the year where animals are actually reproducing. So we don't want that to be happening.
Providence, who was one of two forestry officials on the panel, made specific reference to the Grenadines, where a growing number of endemic species, including exotic birds, are being discovered. He appealed to persons who disregard the need for conservation through such acts as overhunting and setting of fires to work with the department and environmental groups in protecting the various species of wildlife.
So it's important that we protect all these reserve islands from fire damage, from overhunting, from the harvest of bird eggs, because wildlife is important not only in terms of, well, people eat them, but they're also important for our livelihoods. For example, fishing. The seabirds are closely associated with whale fisher, and the fishermen use seabirds to guide them. And this is a known fact that has come down over history. So if we destroy the population of the seabirds, or destroy the habitat and they have to move, then we have that problem
You're
occurring.
in fact affecting the livelihood of fishers.
Yes, and we have had in past history where birds would be resident, what you call resident. They come to the island and stay for a while. But due to habitat change and maybe overhunting, they have moved off. But we see some birds now coming back to a particular island.
The open season started on October 1st and will run until the end of January 2021 for mammals and until the end of February for birds. There continues to be low membership in trade unions in SVG, and veteran trade unionist Noel Jackson has made it clear that this is not unique to this country. Speaking on SVG-TV's Viewpoint program on Sunday, Jackson, who has over 40 years' experience as a trade unionist, said the trade union density in SVG is about 12 to 14%, as is the case with several other developed countries, such as the USA at 13%. He said while the membership figure is low and the expansion has been stagnant, what is applaudable is that the unions are still able to negotiate collective agreements and intervene on behalf of workers to ensure social justice, better working conditions, and remuneration.
You're not expanding, but you are maintaining a particular membership in the trade union. The membership is not declining per se into any large extent. And we have some of the better collective agreements in the region. I can tell you that. And those collective agreements in large part are being honored and renewed. So, in truth and in fact, we have that. What Joe was talking about is something else, but he's telling me not to go back, but he's going back. Because those are the times when you had trade union consciousness existing, people on the street,
But let me stop.
Consciousness is not about going backwards, you know.
Wait, Droma, I don't want.
Consciousness is about going forwards.
What I want to get
I differ with you to a certain extent on that.
Responding to the observation that given the series of violations against workers, there may be a case for renewed workers' consciousness, Jackson said trade unionism in the country has been adversely affected by several factors, including meeting financial obligations.
The dues that are being paid to the unions are only sufficient to pay a clerk and a secretary, the rent and the utility bills. And that has been so for quite a long time. You're non-profit, so you only function off the dues that are paid. In a lot of instances, maybe 50 or 45% of the people who are members of the union are paying union dues. But they benefit from the negotiation, they benefit from every effort you make. They get an increase, their working conditions improve, and so on and so forth, but you get very little in return in order to manage.
That's what I thought. Good evening, caller. Welcome.
Lawyer Jomo Thomas, whose law chambers has won several cases in relation to workers' violations, even against the state, said from the era of the tripartite agreement to now, workers are the ones who continue to suffer from lack of proper representation and having their rights trampled on.
Yeah, people say, well, boy, we had to bring down corporate tax. It was 38, we bring it down to 32. What is it? Where is the corresponding cushion for the workers? There's no corresponding cushion. In fact, time and time again, in this tripartite arrangement, it is as if the state and the private sector gangs up against the worker. And we see it replicate. The man who called first talks about the situation in Kanawan, in the Granny. There's an explosive situation. People are working for long hours. And these billionaires, these multi-millionaires who have a lot and still want more are mercilessly exploiting our workers and refusing to pay. And there's no intervention on the part of the state.